All right, everybody. Happy Thursday, right? No, Wednesday, May 29th. We have episode 57 of Expert Mentors Live. Welcome. Really appreciate you guys jumping on and taking a look at what I got today. So what we're going to be going over is a multiple offer strategies. We want to break this down a couple different ways. I'd really like to break it down, and we're going to work on sellers first. We're going to work on sellers on how to drive in multiple offers on your properties, going through the proper listing system. And then, when you do receive those multiple offers with the seller, what that looks like, how you present them to the seller, how you handle the communication with other agents, because it's a big deal. In our market in Cleveland, we're getting these a lot. And in order to have a multiple offer strategy, not only with a seller and a buyer, it's huge. And you need to discuss this with both parties up front. So breaking down the seller side, then the buyer side, letting your buyers know that, there's a strong chance that we are going to hit some multiple offers in this market, what our strategy looks like for them to put them in a position of strength in case we do come into a multiple offer. So I got some really good stuff. I'm going to do a little screen share because I have our PowerPoint presentation. Let me see if this works. Give me a second here, and let me pull this up. And let's see, how do we do this? Play from the start. All right. Hope you all can see my screen here. If you don't mind, there should be a little chat to make sure you guys can see my screen. That would be awesome. So anybody that's on. What's up, Steve McCarthy? Missy Walden. Hey, if you guys can see my screen, shoot me a chat. Just want to make sure I'm doing this right. Gotcha. There we go. Thank you, Missy. Steve. All right, so let's hit it. So multiple offer strategy. Like I said, let's dive into this. Let's talk a little bit about what to expect on this. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about how to net your sellers the most amount of money. All right, helping your buyers land their dream home. How many situations have we been in with a buyer that they may have lost out on their dream home because we didn't have a multiple offer strategy? Okay. But the key word, you always hear me use this word, and I know NAEA loves it, and John Kitchens, Kinder, Al, Michael Reese, differentiate. It's one of my favorite words. How are we going to differentiate ourselves or our offer from all other offers? And the power of video. It's going to be a bonus at the end. I actually have a sample video that was created from somebody in our office, and I think you're going to love it. So let's hit it. So party started. So we've all been in multiple offer situations, I'm assuming. So in the multiple offer situation, all right, let's talk about sellers up front, okay? So how are we going to net our sellers the most amount of money, and how are we going to increase our chances in receiving multiple offers on our listings? If you guys don't have a listing presentation, or you're not going through a specific system that has this stuff, take what you will out of this, but I suggest that this is the proven and repeatable system that we follow to a T, and we are getting into a lot of multiple offers with our sellers because of it. All right, step number one, very obvious, right? Prepare the house. All right, you think that's obvious, but don't skip a step in the process. If you do, it's going to give you the illusion of speed, and it's going to end up haunting you in the long run if we do skip a step. So here's a quick rundown of what our step process looks like when you do go to prepare a house and increase our odds of getting into multiple offers. All right, so one of the big things that we do is staging. All right, why do we end up staging a home? Hey, look, we got a little guest appearance here. Albie. Hello. So why do we end up staging? Al's telling me I'm talking a little loud here. I'm disrupting our office, but you know what? I ain't gonna quit. So why do we end up staging a home? A stage home in our market gets sells a house 50% faster for more money. So why wouldn't we stage a home, especially in a certain price range? I asked the other day, is there a breaking point at where you would not stage a home? And, potentially there is, but if this is a cost that your sellers are incurring, that's their choice. But I definitely think staging, I'm a firm believer in it. And just to dig a little deeper, our stager, we actually put our stager through our home selling process and talk to her about what our listing presentation looks like. So when she's in this appointment, she's jiving the exact same words that we do and using the same lingo and talking about our listing presentation to the client that just signed up with us. So staging, absolutely step number one. Obviously, professional photography, no brainer as well. You guys aren't making any money when you're out there shooting with your iPhone or shooting with some professional camera that you ended up buying for a few $1,000s. Lose it. Get somebody in there to do that for you, and they know what they're doing. And it takes, it takes a lot off of your plate when, a seller will come back to you and say, hey, that picture you shot of my laundry room, I don't like it. You got to go back out there, as opposed to chances are if it's another professional doing it, they're going to 9 out of 10 times, 99 out of 100 times, they're going to love the photos that end up coming through. So definitely professional photographer. Here's a couple kickers. Our professional photographer does virtual staging. So if you guys are not doing this for a vacant house, take this as one nugget as a takeaway. Definitely hit them with some virtual staging. I mean, look at these pictures that our guy did. It looks real. I mean, yeah, if you look at it long enough, you could tell that it's virtual, but it gives the buyers and someone who is looking at it online, because remember, that's showing number one is when it's online. It gives them the perception that, where to put furniture, but also, it's going to show totally different when it's online. So if you are not using virtual staging for vacant homes, I strongly suggest to. Drone photography. This is a big deal. I actually, before I stopped selling, I was doing this on every house. I really didn't care what it was. I would pay the extra money to have our photographer go out and shoot some drone photography. It just, once again, it's a differentiating factor. So it's shooting the house at a couple extra angles, and maybe it's the front angle where they're sitting back in the road shooting it down. That could make the house look really good, but it's also, he flies straight over the house and he shoots down a bird's eye view, which really tells you how the lot is laid out, especially if it's backing up to something good. Obviously if the house is backing up to a cemetery or something where you don't want to articulate, then that's your call. But drone photography is the next thing. But the biggest thing for me is it differentiates you from everybody else. All right. So then what are we going to do after we do all of this stuff? We're going to hit them with some blast marketing. Okay. And when we do this, everybody, you have to understand this. You are doing this a 10 out of 10. I am hitting them on every social media platform. Also, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. We all know what those are, whether you love them or hate them. They're sometimes a necessary evil. But here's what I mean by a 10 out of 10. Do not be that person that puts out your listing without photos, waiting for the photos to come in. Because what happens, okay, if an agent has a client set up on a portal that's attached to your MLS, that house is getting blasted out without photos. And then wait till later in the day to put the photos in. That client has already seen the no photos, and they're probably not interested, and they could have either deleted it. You take your buyer pool from this to about this, and why do that? Wait until it's all done, everything is a 10 out of 10, and then market blast it out of there. And then obviously we're going to advertise that as a coming soon. This is huge, especially in a market that we're getting multiple offers. I want to create exclusivity. I want to create that where sellers are potentially going to be fighting over a house. I mean, the last two ones, I did one for my brother. My phone was ringing off the hook, and it was only for one day, a 1 day coming soon, ringing off the hook because of the way we marketed it prior to that. We blasted it out, coming soon, and it created some serious attraction for it. And I had agents calling me like crazy that could we get in soon? Could we get in sooner? Nope. And then when we did, they basically busted the hinges off the door because it's our job to create as much traction, I guess, if you want to call it, on our listings as possible. Why? We want to sell the houses in the fastest amount of time and for the most amount of money. So coming soon is going to help out for both. Then when we do list it, I did this I think last month. I did the mega open house game plan, the mega open house strategy. Utilize that. If you guys don't have that, you can comment, in the Facebook page when it gets posted. I can ship that over to you. But the mega open house game plan is huge. It's going to increase your traffic. We're going to have buyer retention, which is just a bonus, but it's going to sell the house as fast as possible for your clients by just going through these handful of steps and doing a mega open house. Here's a pro tip. When you talk to other agents, when another agent calls you on your property, Jay Kinder 101, position it as a highly active property. Yeah, we're actually expecting offers anytime now. That's a great little tip to show the sense of urgency and get the selling agent on the other side, or the buyer's agent, to push their client along. Oh, they said they're expecting offers anytime. So always position it as highly active property. All right, so now that we've prepared the house, I'm going to slow down a little bit. So I just want to breeze through that because I think a lot of us know our expert advisor home selling system. But how are we going to negotiate multiple offers on a home? And how are we going to negotiate the multiple offers and netting our sellers the most amount of money and doing it as ethically as possible? That's the key word, ethical, okay? It's a fine line, but what I could tell you, guys, is what I'm about to go over with you is we had the same situation happen in our office about, I think, two and a half months ago with one of our agents, Kelsey. And within 48 hours, she received 13 offers. I received 2 phone calls from real estate agents that put offers in for their clients. Both of these agents did not get the house for their client, but called me and thanked me for the way Kelsey not only handled the situation, but she communicated throughout the whole entire situation. So there's going to be a lot of badass tips that I'm going to put in here. So make sure you take notes. And if you guys have any questions, shoot me a chat, and I will be happy to answer it. So how are we going to negotiate netting the sellers the most amount of money? Obviously, we all know this, highest and best, whoopee, right? But what does it mean? Highest and best. So we got highest, which is the highest price that they're willing to pay. But what does the word best mean? So the word best could mean, and it all differs for your seller. Okay, so just know that. Talk it over with them. Maybe it's negotiating no inspections, or a 0 inspection allowance, or a low inspection allowance, and doing that right up front for your sellers. Do not be afraid to ask for that kind of stuff. You are in multiple offer situation. You as the listing agent, you are in the driver's seat. So having no inspections is not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe it's important dates or a possible rent back for your client. Depending on their situation, maybe they're building a house. Maybe they need to stay in the house a little bit longer before their house is going to be ready. So maybe some possible rent back that's free. The buyer does not want to lose the house. So I think they are willing to negotiate on a possession date more than anything. So this is a key thing too, bridging the gap of a potential low appraisal. Now in our marketplace in Cleveland, it's not, I don't want to say it's common for low appraisals, but it does happen because we're selling things so far over asking price. And if you have things like closing costs included in there or whatnot, that could be a potential red flag, right from the get-go, is having a low appraisal. So I'm going to talk about it with that real estate agent right up front and just say, listen, how serious are your buyers about the house? Are they serious enough that if we do have a low appraisal that they're going to bridge the gap with cash? So So do not hesitate to talk about that as well, because you don't want in the 11th hour you to sell the house for $30,000 over asking price and us to get hit with a low appraisal and then the renegotiations begin again. So putting that in the contract is not a bad thing. Okay, best could mean some whatever type of financing or down payment percentage. Okay, increase the earnest money. Is there any contingency? Pro tip number 2, non-refundable earnest money. I literally just went through this the other day. I have so many homes, but if a referral comes in from a good friend or a family member, I am going to take care of their listing. This just happened where our counter offer as the listing agent, our counter offer was a $5,000 non-refundable earnest money after 14 days. So they wanted to try to sell their house, and we were going to give them 14 days. And after that, the earnest money became non-refundable. And then we had another deadline after that. So don't leave that off the table. I think that's a good one, and it's going to separate the very serious people from the non-serious people, especially if your clients, if your sellers are going to be taking the house off the market. All right. So who's negotiated a contract here? And you guys don't have to chat. This is just a rhetorical question. Who's negotiated a contract that they had no clue that they were even in a multiple offer situation? And then come to find out you lose out and you're pissed off, right? It's happened to everybody. Happens to our agents all the time. But here's what you need to know. NAR has came out, and they have actually a multiple offer guideline. If you guys Google NAR and multiple offer situation or strategy, they have a great guideline. And one of the biggest things to know is that as a listing agent, it is not our call whether we let all parties know it's a multiple offer or not. And when I mean all parties, all other offers. It is your seller's choice whether they want to. So one thing that you guys need to, definitely go over is with your sellers is the pros and cons and the risks and rewards. Okay, one of the famous talks that we always have is, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, right? So if you have an offer that's going to be strong enough, some of the repercussions that we have if we do let all parties know is they could drop out, or the high offer could say, you know what? I don't want to deal with multiple offers at this time, so we're going to bail right now. So that is that's a risk on the part. There is obviously rewards too. So going over it in detail with our sellers on what all the pros and cons, risks and rewards are is phenomenal. So remember, you're also going to talk about this up front, that we have multiple offer strategies, but when the time does come, let's talk about the risks and the rewards. Assume nothing, over communicate everything. What do I mean by this? Over communicate everything with the other real estate agents. There's no worse thing. Put yourself in the position of a buyer's agent when you do not get a response from multiple offers, right? You're pissed off. I'm going to go light their office on fire. But don't put yourself in those positions. Remember, we're experts. We're different than a traditional real estate agent or an AFA. So make sure that we over communicate with the co-brokes. I want them to know every single detail, and I'm going to be completely upfront and honest with them about everything. But I'm also going to over communicate with my client during this time too. So that's the key thing. Don't get too busy, because the number one thing that gets diluted when you get really busy or get all these multiple offers is your communication with all different parties. So pay attention to that. And when you're communicating with other agents, you're driving up the price. Every time I talk to them, every time I communicate with them, and if I have my sellers, if I have the seller's permission to tell the buyers or the buyer's agent that there is multiple offers, I'm going to keep driving up the price and driving up that price and doing the best job for my client. All right, now that we've received these, how are we going to present these multiple offers to our sellers? What is the best way to do that? Okay, set a time for all, capital letters, all of the sellers to get together. Okay, if you have any whatever it is, husband, wife, maybe it's 3 family members that are selling an estate. It doesn't matter. They all need to be present And if it's impossible, if it's an absentee seller, they need to be, hey, we have great laptops. Put them on a screen share and go over everything with them. This might be this shouldn't be a pro tip. This should be a I don't know, a common sense tip. Make sure the sellers know what the deadline was set. Okay, if I say that it's going to be Tuesday at noon, I want them to know that. And why do I want them to know that? Because I don't want them to say, hey, yeah, we're not gonna be able to get together until Wednesday at if you come over at 9 in the morning, it doesn't work, right? So make sure everybody's on the same page and that time frame works for everybody. So now say we do have multiple offers. The easiest thing that I could say is, one thing that works really well for us is we create a spreadsheet and we review all of the offers side by side with what the main points are. All right, maybe who's buying it. If you want to add a little story about them, what they are making the offer, when they want to close, if there's inspection, whatever your state contracts or your brokerage contract states, that's exactly how you want to kind of position it and line them all up, right? And the best thing that you could do is that way you're not flipping through 8,000 sheets of paper. Here's offer one and flip. Somewhere in here. Oh yeah, it's right here. Don't do that. Come prepared and having a spreadsheet view because it's going to be easier for everybody. One agent once told me that they do this. I'm not familiar with this, but if you do use dot loop, you can separate them into different loops and share it with the sellers. So if they're absentee and you give them access to the dot loop, they can take a look at them and you can be able to go over everything with them. Bring a net sheet for the sellers for all of the offers so they know where they're at. Every single offer. And that could be a great thing on a spreadsheet. So with this offer, here's the closing costs. They want you to pay for a home warranty. They're also asking you to pay for a pest inspection. Here's your net with this one. Here's your net with this one all the way down the line, right? Because what's most important to them? Yes, it's the bottom dollar. It's what they're taking home, but it's also what is the best, right? That's the best portion of highest and best. So it's the best offer for their specific situation. So net sheet is, I think that's a great pro tip. I think that's something that goes by the wayside, and we don't really, do that much. But don't take it lightly. Net sheets are pretty powerful. Another common sense, bring the purchase agreements so the sellers can sign it when they choose one and accept one. All right, you wouldn't think so, but it's not, hey, let me go back to my office and get this signed. I'm gonna electronically have it signed over to you. No, bring it with you. Have them all sign it. You got them all there. It's gonna make everybody's life a hell of a lot easier. So, okay, that was that was the sell side. We're gonna dive into the buy side. If you guys, once again, have any questions, jump into the chat, shoot them over, or even have anything to add that has been very helpful for you guys and you've seen successful. So buy side, our main goal here is to lock up our buyer's dream home and put them in a position of strength. Okay, so key pro tip, this needs to be a gold nugget, have a consultation meeting prior to showing the buyers any homes. Obviously, we're going to go over our home buying process with them. I'm going to tell them, that I want to know what their goals are, what their wants, what's their needs. Talk about financing programs. We're going to talk about the future home ownership responsibility. But one thing that we're going to talk about is my multiple offer strategies and for the buy side. And I want them on board because if they're not, it's a half-assed effort. You might as well, if you're going to get in a multiple offer situation, I don't want to say it's going to be pointless, but you will not come in a position of strength if the buyers are not on board with your multiple offer strategy. All right. So go over that prior to, set those expectations, and it will make for a super, super easy negotiation process. So here we go. Set the expectation process. So I want to know that they are on board from day one with every single thing because I'm the expert and they need to listen to me. So the first thing that I want to go over with them is I'm going to talk about market intelligence. And you'll see this is not the number one thing, but you need to let them know that I want them to know prior to them going and seeing any houses. I want to know what the similar houses in that area that they're looking. I want to let them know how they're selling and what they're selling for. Okay, and here's an instance, social proof what happened to me. I was helping my cousin buy a house, and he would walk into every single house, and prior to even walking through the kitchen, we would enter the house, he'd get up in the kitchen, he'd lean against the kitchen cabinets, and he'd go, "How much would you offer for this house?" And I go, "Bro, you're asking, you haven't even seen the house. You're already trying to negotiate off the price." And I realized I didn't do my job. I never showed him market intelligence, and I never set those expectations. So I showed him 3 other houses that we were seeing that day. I said, afterwards, you and your fiance come to my house. Come to my office. I want to talk about the house that you're going to buy. And I went over our whole buying process with him. I went over market intelligence. So what did I go over? I talked about supply and demand. Average list price versus sales price percentage. That right there, guys, the number 2 bullet point right there is one of my favorites. Average list price to sales price percentage. And here's why. Because what he saw specifically is that, in the 3 cities that I'm looking, I either have to be at 99.8% of my asking price or over asking price. And a great conversation to have, or I guess question to ask your buyers is, so now that you see that we have to be at basically asking price or above, are you going to be prepared to do that if it's a house that you love? If you love the house, are you going to be able to make an offer like you love it? And here's the answer virtually every time. Yep. Awesome. So when it comes time to write an offer and they even want to think about going under asking price, you remind them of the conversation that you just had. Hey, we talked about the market in the Westlake area here, and I know we're coming. This house has only been on the market for a couple of days. I went over. I showed you that we're gonna have to come in at or above asking price. So I just want to make sure that if we don't do that, that you're gonna be okay losing this house, right? It's, hey, remember that conversation that we had prior to seeing any homes? It is money in the bank. All right. So average list price to sales price, average price per square foot. And the reason you want to, they are, the consumer's smart. So, you want to let them come to their own conclusion, right? Like, yeah, I made this offer myself, but really you're the one providing them with the information. It's almost like a self-directed situation, and they're going to take the information you as the expert provided and come up with their own offer price, which is going to be, once again, based on the statistics you gave them. So know your market intelligence, supply and demand, average list price per sales price, and average price per square foot. Okay, this states the obvious, but so what? Have your ducks in a row with a pre-approval. Why? If I got 4 offers on a property and 2 of them did not have pre-approvals, my client would know that. I would still present the offers, but my client would know that these do not have pre-approvals, so they're not serious. It's unfortunate, but their agent is not doing their job. So, and as a buyer, a lot of times if you get that pushback, hey, listen, we're actually affiliated with a lender in the area who has some of the most lenient mortgage programs out there, and they have some of the best programs out there as far as interest rates goes and closing costs and stuff like that. So, but this will put us in a position of strength. That way, when we do find a house that you love, you're not coming in the 11th hour and racing to get that. And God forbid we cannot get a hold of your loan officer that you choose. So we need to have that done right up front. So here's the key. Here's a writer downer. Would you mind if I have my lender give you a call just to get the process started? This is not, you need to have a lender on board with you that is prepared to call your clients for you, because if it's not, guess who the buyer is probably not going to call? They're probably not going to call your lender, and they're probably going to go with some guy who, or gal that you don't know if they're going to be able to close the property on time, efficiently, and for the least amount of money for your client. So let them know that let me have my guy, Mike. I'm gonna have Mike reach out to you, and he's gonna call you here. Would it be okay if he calls you here in a little bit? All right, I'm going to shoot your information over to him right now. He's going to call you. It's going to be simple, and you can talk to him about anything that you want. So get on board, get a lender on board with that. That is going to be awesome, because that'll increase your chances of taking them through the process. So now that we have everything in order, it's time to write the offer, right? My favorite time. What do? You need to make the offer as neat and clean as possible. And I don't know why I don't have this on here, but as complete as possible. No blank lines, no blank spaces. Okay? Too many agents, I get it, and it's scribbled out, and that's honestly, and I hope nobody gives me pushback on this, but that's probably a good indication on how that transaction is going to go with that agent. When you have a really crappy written contract, it's inevitable, to be honest with you. So make sure you are not that agent, and I'm going to make it as neat and as clean as possible. Into the position of strength. This is actually a picture of me this morning when I got out of the shower and I was working out. So hope you guys are okay with that. But position of strength. What is going to make our offer come in higher and look more attractive than anybody else's? Number one trick that I absolutely loved. This is aggressive, but do not do this in front of your client. Call the other agent right in front of your client. I'm actually making 2 calls. I'm calling the lender and making sure that all the information I have is correct. I want to know if I need closing costs. I need to know how much. I need to get, make sure my pre-approval's up to date. I need to make sure everything I need to know, how soon that they can close the loan. I want to know everything from the lender, and I'm going to do that on speakerphone in front of my client. Okay? Here's the other big takeaway. I'm calling the other agent on speakerphone in front of my client. I'm asking them questions. I'm poking. I'm prodding. This also works if you were going to come in with a little bit lower offer too, and I'll tell you why in a second. But find out what's important to the seller and honor their wants. That's the biggest thing. Don't find out that a date of 45 days out is important because they're building a house and then come in shooting at like 21 days, right? That's not what they want to see, but honor their wants. It's going to put you in a position of strength. Okay, so we went over market intelligence, but know this, market information is useful, but it's the most important information is how many offers do they have? And I'm going to explain why. So here's some questions to ask before I explain why. So, hey, how many offers are there on the property? Are there any offers that are cash? What does the highest and best do? What is the highest offer you have now? Get aggressive for your clients. Is there anything special that the seller's looking for or that they would like to see on the contract? How many showings have you had? This is, okay, so, but if you guys have any experience in the multiple offer situation for highest and best, you know that a good listing agent's not going to answer these questions. However, it don't hurt to ask. And I'm going to ask it, and at least it looks to my clients like I did my job. All right? So here's why knowing how many offers on the property is probably one of the most crucial pieces of information. If there's only 2 offers on the property, I might get the house lower than expected. How cool would that be? So, how cool would that be for my clients? However, if there are 5+ offers, I know that it's going to be significantly more than asking price. So I'm going to let my client know that, this is why we asked that question. And just know, guys, we can play that line a little bit more. We can tighten that up a little bit if there's only a couple offers. But if there's a lot, we're going to have to come shooting with a high number. So make sure that that is one of the top questions that you ask them. And poke and prod. Now, I don't think I have it in here, but I want to touch on if your guys were to come in a little bit lower, you can even say that on the call to the other agent. Hey, I see that you're listed at 200,000. My clients are thinking about, we looked at the comps and everything, and give me your feedback on this. We were going to come in around like 182.5, and I know it's a little bit lower, but based on the comps and have you guys had any offers? What do you think? Are you going to be able to get that closed for me? You're going to find out real fast where the sellers are. Okay, and so agents will spill their guts. Why? Because they want to make a paycheck. So therefore, they will tell you stuff. You'd be amazed what you can get out of agents. And to reiterate myself, it'll show your buyers that you are doing a damn good job for them, even if they lose out on that house. When you call the other agent guys, always, always, always use these words. And by the way, this does not only go for call, if you're texting the agent back and forth, or when you're setting in an offer, or you're setting a counter offer. I look forward to working with you. Thanks, Joel. That was really appreciate the information. I look forward to working with you. Don't be that agent that wants to pick a fight with everybody, and it just doesn't work. So look forward to working with you. It goes a long way. Win before you start. Sometimes if you want to talk aggressive, if you know that there are going to be multiple offers coming in, immediately come in with your highest and best offer. Okay? And you want to make sure that come in with your highest. Hey, give me a second. Come in with your highest and best offers, and let the sellers know that when. I'm sorry. Let me back up. You want to be the first to submit an offer. Okay? And if you want to be aggressive, put this condition in there in the purchase agreement that if they consider any other offer, your offer will be withdrawn. Okay? I was somebody walked in my office there. I apologize. I'm going to go over this one more time. So if you know that there are more offers coming in, come in with your highest and best along with every single thing that the seller wants. So you already know what they want. You're coming in no matter what with everything that they want and their highest and best offer. Be the first to submit the offer, and then put a condition in the purchase agreement that your offer will be withdrawn if the sellers consider any other offer. Now think about that. Think if you were on the listing side and you received that. If it was a dynamite offer and it was like high enough where you're like, oh, damn, I don't want to lose out on this offer. I don't want my sellers to lose out. Hey, guys, this is what they said. Like, if we don't accept this and another offer comes in, like, they're going to be pulling this offer. That is a very, very, very aggressive technique. And try it. Give it a shot. But you have to be the first offer that comes in. Escalation clause, if your brokerage allows it. Okay, so what is an escalation clause for anybody that's on that does not know? If the asking price is $300,000 and there's 10 offers on the property, here's what an escalation clause would look like. So we'd start, let's just say 310,000, and we would put this clause. Buyer will increase the sales price to $3,000 over any other legitimate offer up to a maximum price of $335,000. What does that mean? That means that if another offer comes in and it's at $315,000, the max we're going to go is $335,000, but that means that we are willing to pay $318,000, $3,000 over the next other legitimate offer. That is one of the key words, people. Legitimate. And why is that? Because you can't, asking offer price and offer price doesn't mean it's legitimate. Everything below that has to line up. It's comparing apples with apples. I'm talking financing, down payment, dates of close, closing costs, all that stuff. It's not just an offer price. It's a legitimate offer that's comparing apples to apples. Okay? So I did this presentation in front of all of our agents and some local agents in the Cleveland area, and somebody raised their hand and this came out. Can you ask to see the other contract? So if you guys did get it for $318,000, knowing that the next highest was at $315,000, can you ask to see that? Well, you can ask for whatever you want. But any good agent's going to say no, and here's why. Because that becomes a counter offer as opposed to them just accepting your offer. So that's up to you guys. I'm not going to get into what's right, wrong, and walking the line. But I want to let you know that you can ask for it, but if they say no, that's a counter offer. So, be very careful about that. So before you do submit an escalation clause, call the other agent, talk to them and explain what that is, because honestly, they have no clue. Some agents have no clue. Even experienced agents that I've dealt with, they're like, I've had them reject an escalation clause because they had no clue what it was. So, I don't want to get into, remember, keep everything ethical. So make sure your brokerage does this. But this is a very aggressive technique, and that's what we're all about here, in our area. So escalation clauses work very well, but this also works when your buyers know what this is prior to making another offer. All right. So this is a great portion of it. Who's lost an offer and your buyers question your expertise? Better question, who's lost a buyer and you want to make sure that they know that you're doing your job, I guess. Well, check this out. If you lose war, save face. Okay, so if you lose, your buyers will question your ability, even though they were the ones that made the lowball offer or the low offer or the wrong offer. So show them that you have the right tools and get your offer signed as a backup offer. Why? Now it's gonna you're gonna lock in here. The backup offer says that if the first offer is terminated, you immediately have a binding contract on the terms of your backup offer. And if the seller does not, and by the way, the seller does not get to reopen the bidding war. So if the deal falls apart, you automatically swoop in there and you get the agreement. You get the house. As opposed to, it's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you that's on. If you don't get that backup offer signed, what happens? The deal falls apart. It goes back on the market in the multiple offers again. When we could have locked that house up for our client with a backup offer. So if you don't take away one thing on the buy side, or if you do take away one thing, make sure that this is it. Okay? So you also control the seller, and the seller does not control you. You get the seller's house if the current offer terminates, but you can still go shopping for other homes. And if you do find a better home, put it under contract and terminate your backup offer. Withdraw it. So that was one of my big takeaways, and something that's really, really works for us. So who thinks that selling and or buying home is an emotional process for our clients? If you don't think sales is an emotional process, then you should, I don't know, maybe shouldn't be in sales, but it's a very emotional process. So here's what we're going to do. Talk about a position of strength. Dear seller letters, okay? That's step one. That's not the most aggressive. I'm going to go over in a second, but step one is a dear seller letter. I want pictures. I want dogs, kids. Talk about how long they've been looking at homes, all that kind of stuff. But I also feel that it gets them emotionally tied. You're tugging on their heartstrings, because that's what we got to do. So make sure your buyers know that we're at least going to come up with a dear seller letter. Okay? Here's the bonus, though. The power of video. Let me get out of this here in a second. The video offer, guys. Check this out. Let me, hopefully you guys can still see my screen. Jump over here. All right. Hopefully you guys can still see that. And hopefully you can hear this.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Coleman. We're the Howe family. I'm Anthony. This is Sophia. This is my wife, Carly, our newborn baby, Aria, and our baby, Ellie. We're putting in an offer on your home, and we would be more than excited if you guys were to accept. The moment we walked into your home, we knew from that first step that this was the home of our future. I work in the software industry. Carly works in ophthalmology, and we have 3 young kids, as you can see. Your property, as we've seen, has been well maintained over the years. We know that you guys have made a number of great memories through your times at that property, and we look forward to making our own family memories there as well. It's immaculately maintained. The backyard is absolutely beautiful. We love the serenity of having the woods around, and we think that it's going to be the perfect property for our family to grow. We really hope that you guys accept our offer and allow us to build the next chapter of our lives at your home. We appreciate you guys taking the time and considering our offer, and we look forward to hearing from you. Welcome to my wild family. Thank you.
All right, back to this. So do you guys think, how many of you think that that would really help? It's to me, that's going to take it to the next level. Now, once again, your buyers have to be on board with it. And we're going to go over a couple things with them. Okay. We're making a video, whether you guys like it or not, because here's why. It's going to be emotional. That video right there, that client, and it might not sound like a lot, but in our market, in my Cleveland marketplace, this is a lot for somebody buying a home, is they got that house for $5,000 less than the highest offer because they did the video offer. So it's absolutely golden, and they know it going in. So I'm talking, we're talking about, this is my family. This is why we're making an offer on your house. We love this about your house. We've been looking for a house this long. Anything else that has to go along with the offer that you feel is necessary, you include that. But here's the kicker. You have to rely on that other real estate agent now to do their job and actually show that to their sellers. So put it as a condition in the contract. Put it as part of the contract. Sellers to watch buyer's video offer. All right, it is huge. So I'm telling you guys, this is going to work, and it's going to separate you and differentiate you. We did another video offer that the agent from another brokerage called us and asked us, "Can you train me on how to do it?" Of course, we love to add value, but how cool would that be? So it could be a nice recruiting technique for you guys too. So the video offer, I'm sure everybody knows, or some people don't, but everybody knows who Grant Cardone is, Uncle Grant. And one thing, we were just listening to a podcast that he was doing, and so Uncle Grant owns $600 million in real estate, and he has never made an offer without a video offer or him going face-to-face. Now, face-to-face is different because he's buying that for himself. Okay, I get that. But he still at least does a video offer with every single transaction to this day that he's buying a property. So, guys, I'm telling you, this works so well. Utilize it. Hey, by the way, too, this is not a plug because there's no there's no hook, whatever, but we've been doing, we did a listing class last month, and we're doing a buying class starting this Friday. If you guys go on Facebook and join the group, either Expert Mentors Live, CLE, or Buying Class, CLE Live, May 31st at 9:30 Eastern AM. It's totally free. We're going to go over the whole home buying process over a 4-week session. I'm going to talk to you about how to get buyers, how to talk to them on the phone. I'm also going to talk to you about the pre-consultation prior to showing them any homes. I'm going to talk to you about how to show them homes properly and some great techniques that'll really help out the whole entire process. We're going to talk about writing offers. We're going to talk about communication, and we're going to talk about communication even after you close on the house and hand them the keys and what that looks like moving forward, because that buyer is worth a lot of money to you in the whole entire career of real estate. So check that out. And that is it. Appreciate you guys' time. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm here for you. Shoot a chat. Thank you. Let's see, Missy shot that. Sold. That was probably about that video. Yeah, I'm telling you, that is money. So get your clients on board with that. Anything else you guys want to add, shoot it in here. You know how to reach me. Shoot me a private Facebook message. Reach out to me on Facebook. I'm always here for you. We're here to add value. I hope you got something from this. And looking forward to whatever the next month's session is going to be that Mr. Kitchen's going to give me the opportunity. So you guys go have an awesome rocking week, and reach out to me if you need anything. Appreciate you guys.